Maurice Bay, the helpful trucker here. So in this video, I'm going to talk about inspecting a cheap truck. And this will be a video specifically for the non-mechanic type. I am the non-mechanic type. So here's a little backdrop just to give you a little bit of context about how we're gonna do this video. I am right now in the process of going from driving someone else's truck to getting my own truck, buying my first truck. And I located a truck about 40 minutes from my house, and I was told that the guy didn't want much money for it at all. I'm talking about a truck that he wanted like $6,000 for. So, you know, if you are looking to buy your own truck, you're the non-mechanic type, and you're looking to keep your, you're looking for something in the price range of say $10,000, give or take a few dollars, then I'm gonna show you in this video what my mechanic saw on the truck that we went to look at. So I had my mechanic come out there to take a look at the truck. This is gonna be my first time buying a truck. I've been around trucks my whole life, but I've never owned my own truck. Yeah, this is gonna be my first truck. And I'm not big on fixing. I'm not big on mechanic work. I don't know much about fixing trucks. I'm definitely planning on learning and willing to learn, but for my first truck, I didn't want anything that I was gonna have to put too much money into. Now, again, this is a truck that the gentleman was asking for about $6 grand for, and what I was expecting, what he told me what it was gonna need was a few tires, a couple of tires. I think it was 4 tires he told me it was gonna need. It's going to need, it had something wrong with the EGR, so it was going to either need a new EGR or it was going to need a bypass. His truck had, from what he tells me, it was a Volvo. It has 2 EGRs, and so he was saying that for the price of getting the one EGR fixed, you can just delete the whole EGR system off the truck. It's going to be about the same thing, about $1,500. So I was figuring on 4 tires, the EGR work, alternator, a new alternator, and 4 batteries. That's what I was told on the phone that the truck needed. Now you got to know that a truck that's in that price range, $6,000, less than $10,000, is very possible for it to need more than that stuff. Okay, I know a lot of people that have gotten trucks for less than $10,000 that was road ready, that was ready to go from day one. So I had my mechanic come out, and being that I'm not very big on inspecting a truck and knowing what to look for, he went around the truck, he looked at some stuff. I made sure I had him tell me what he was looking for and what he was looking at. And at the end of the day, he let me know that he didn't think for $6,000 that the truck would be worth it. He said $6,000 is not too bad of a price for an individual that knows how to fix a lot of this stuff that this truck needs on their own. But you know, in my situation, he knows I'm pretty much trying to get a truck that I don't have to spend much money on or any money on, so I can ride. He's like, so you know, you might be looking at spending a little bit more if you're gonna do that, but this truck is $6 grand. The stuff that I'm looking at right now probably gonna cost you $5 or $6 grand. And if the stuff that you see on the truck, you better believe there's some more stuff that's going on with it that you don't see. So what I didn't do, let's get into this video because I don't want to drag this out too long. What I should have done, and I'm so sorry to the viewer that's watching right now, waiting to see what I'm going to show you. I'm so sorry that I didn't actually record a video of us looking around that truck, that Volvo that we were looking at, so that as I'm talking you through what we saw, I can point it out to you on that truck. So here's what I'm gonna do, being that I didn't record a video of us going around that truck. I'm gonna show you the same stuff that we were looking at on that truck that basically didn't pass our inspection, and I'm gonna show you that on the truck that I'm currently driving. My truck, just like any truck, is not a perfect truck. You're probably gonna see stuff on here that may need to be replaced on this truck, but again, this is just for the purpose of pointing out what was wrong on that truck and being able to show you how we checked it on that truck. So with that being said, let's get right to it. The first thing my mechanic did, the truck was already running when we got there. The guy already had it running and started because he had to put it on the charger, so it was already running. But the first thing we did was we walked to the back of the truck. We walked around and checked out the frame of the truck. And the first immediate thing that we noticed, now my frame on my truck, when I say the frame, I'm talking about, and again, I'm pointing a lot of this stuff out because this is for the non-mechanical type of person, and a lot of this stuff is stuff that you can just eyeball very easily and get an idea of what condition the truck is, the cheap truck is, end that you are inspecting. So we looked at the frame of the truck, and the frame all the way on both sides, all the way up to the front of the truck, had a lot of rust on the frame. My mechanic obviously let me know. He said this truck has obviously been run in a lot of snow and inclement weather, because salt, road salt, is what will cause your frame and all of that stuff to rust out. So this frame right here is just dirty. There's not much rust on this frame really at all, but that frame that we were looking at was clearly rusty. So if you go in to inspect a cheap truck and you notice a lot of rust just from a visual inspection, a lot of rust on stuff indicates that the truck has been run in a lot of inclement weather, and it's been in a lot of road salt. So that was one of the first things that we noticed, a lot of excess rust all the way around the frame. We noticed that the truck needed shocks. These are shocks right here, obviously. Okay, another shock over there, another shock up there, and obviously another one will be on that wheel, and then you got shocks in the front as well. We noticed that the shocks were all rusted out, which let us know the truck was gonna need shocks. Again, that's something that you can just eyeball. Okay, the airbags were dry rotted on that truck, which let us know we was gonna need new airbags. All 4 of the airbags were rusted out. Were dry rotted. So far we're looking at a rusty frame. We're looking at shocks that are rusted out, and when I say rusted out, like it didn't even have all of this covering on there. All of that had rusted out. The support here had rusted out, and you could actually see the rods, you know, down in there because there was no covering on it, because it had all rusted out. The universal joint. So, excuse me, the drivetrain, I should say. This right here is the rear universal joint, but it connects to the drivetrain, which goes all the way up the truck. And what you can do with that drivetrain is you can shake it, right? So this truck right here is a little bit difficult to do because it's got this catwalk right here. The Volvo had an open spot right here. This truck has an open spot right here. So if you can see what I'm doing right now, I'm standing up on the catwalk, right? And if you want to, now I'm holding my camera with one hand, so I can't hold it, I can't illustrate what I want to show you right now. But if you could take your hand and put it on this drive shaft, and obviously your other hand is going to go on this side, the hand of mine that's holding the camera, and you're going to get a tight grip on it, and you're going to shake it up and down, and you're going to try to twist it back and forth. Okay, if you can, the ground is all wet here, but if you can, that'll probably be easier if you could actually get down on the ground under the truck and do it from the bottom and lay on your back on the ground, and that way you push it up on the drive shaft, and you're checking for excess play. On that truck, I was able to stand right up on the top, put both my hands on the drive shaft here. Actually, I did it from the back end. This was open right here on that truck, and I gripped it real good, and I shook it up and down, and I twisted it back and forth. And my mechanic noticed that one of the universal joints, there's one here, there's one there, there's one back there, there's one up there under the truck, there's several of them along the drive line, but he could see that one of the universal joints was loose and had play in it, which let us know that was going to need some repair work. We also checked bushings. Now, I didn't even know what a bushing was, but this right here, see this, I believe this is an indication that this bushing might be going bad. This particular one right here, and I hope you can see what I'm pointing at right here. I didn't know what a bushing was, that's why I'm pointing it out to you guys. But these bushings here, and they're all over the place in the truck. Here's another bushing right here on the front of what's holding the spring, and on the front, the 2 front wheels, it's going to be the same thing. But those bushings on that truck were not good. We noticed the bushings was going to need changing. We also noticed that it needed brakes and brake drums. One wheel, the brakes and the brake drums were fine, but the other 3 needed brakes and brake drums. And I know how to check brakes. I learned that a while ago, but I'm gonna show you right here real quick if I can get the camera in there. But what I didn't know how to check was how to check brake drums. So also, if I can get the camera in there, I'm gonna show you real quick how you can easily go about checking your brakes and your brake drums. It's real easy to do. Let me see if I can shine this down in here, and I hope you guys can see this. So these brake pads, let me put this here, hopefully you can see that. So these right here are your brake pads, what I'm scraping the dirt off of right here. And if you notice, all these brake pads have a little bevel in right there where my fingernail is right there. So where that brake pad kind of bevels in, that is the end of the pad where it bevels in. There's also a little lip going along the side right there, but this is pad right here. Okay, this inside part, that bevel, that whole part right there that bevels in on the edge, that's brake pad right there. That lets you know there's still some pad there. It's gonna need to be changed in a little bit, but that lets me know that it's still some pad right there. This particular truck, 3 of the brakes, the pads were bad, but also the brake drums. So this right here is the brake drum, and again, I hope you guys can see this. There's not much light up in here, but I'm doing the best that I can here. So this one that you're looking at is fine. When you look at this drum should be smooth, right? So I'm dragging my finger, all of my fingernail, all the way to the edge, and it's not catching. But if a person is too hard on these brakes, or if they drive it past the point, they're using the brakes past the point where the pads are worn down, this will start to wear into the drum. And when you reach down in here and put your finger against your drum, you'll notice that it has worn, this brake pad has worn down in the drum enough that it actually dips off. It's actually a dip down in here. And in this particular truck, the one we were just looking at, not only was there a dip in all of the drums except for one, so it wasn't a smooth, like I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. It wasn't smooth all the way off the edge. The edge was still here, but once you get over the edge, there's like a crater basically all the way down in there, and it was rusty as well, which shows that the brakes have been digging into the drum. So the truck is going to need brake pads, and it's going to need brake drums on 3 of the wheels. 1 of them were fine, but 3 of them was not. So after we went over the back of the truck, we came up to the front of the truck, and keep in mind the truck was running before we got there, so certain things it was difficult to check, but I'll get back to that in 1 second. Another thing that we checked was the steering column right here. Okay, so we twisted back, and obviously there shouldn't be too much excess play in this when you move this back and forth, but we twisted on the steering column here, and as I twist on the steering column, if you can notice, you see the rest of the steering linkage moving down here basically, and it let me know that this drag link right here, okay, because it was loose as I was moving this steering column back and forth with my hand. You could see movement in between, I think this is called the pitman arm. You could see movement between the pitman arm and the drag link right up in here. And I had to double take. I had to ask him. He said your drag link's going bad. I said, how do you know? And he said, just shake it again. And I shook it some more, and you can't see any movement on this one, but the one that I was inspecting earlier, you could clearly see movement on that. On my truck right here, you can probably see in this shot as well, the leak that I have coming out of my steering box right here. I've seen a lot of trucks that have, leaky steering boxes. So that may not be a huge issue. This truck had a leaky steering box as well. Oh, here's a big one. When I took off the engine oil, the cap where the oil goes, I could see blow by coming out of there. I don't want to confuse you, and I don't want to get too mechanical, because I don't understand all this stuff myself necessarily, but blow by is the white smoke that'll come out of there when you take out your dipstick, or when you take off your oil cap right here. When I took off the oil cap, I noticed blow by coming out of there. Obviously you want to check and see what the oil that's on the stick looks like. I took out the stick, we checked the oil that was on the stick in the truck just to see what it looked like, smelled it, make sure we didn't smell any diesel fuel in it, which we didn't, but also we wanted to make sure we didn't see any bubbles in it, which would suggest that maybe radiator fluid or something else, radiator fluid was getting in there, was mixing with that with the oil. You don't want any of that stuff. The oil didn't look contaminated, but again, you would want to check and see what the oil looks like in the truck that you're looking at. You want to check for blow by. Oh, and also I want to show you this real quick. I want to show you this on this side of the motor. So this truck was running, okay? So I didn't feel comfortable with taking the cap off and checking. But if you notice, this reservoir, I just got this reservoir put on this truck yesterday. And this reservoir is black, and this cap is black, okay? But here's what I want to point out to you. The reservoir that I got taken off of here was a clear reservoir. Now, I had a truck before where the oil cooler went out, okay? And when the oil cooler went out, again, I can't really explain all of that to you, but when the oil cooler goes out, it's gonna get oil all in your cooling system. So we had to, you know, get the cooling system flushed out for like a whole day. But the point is, you'll never get all of that oil out of the cooling system even after you replace your oil cooler in a situation like that. And so in that situation with that truck, every time I would check and take off my cap off of my reservoir, you could actually see black stuff under the cap. That was oil that had mixed in with the that we hadn't cleaned out completely out of the fluid system in the truck. And so what I'm saying is, if you can, this truck was running, we weren't able to do this, but if you can, take off the cap to the radiator, if you can, if it's not hot, right? And now the underside of this cap is black as well. So if we had an oil cooler problem with a black reservoir and a black cap, if you're just looking at it, you won't see anything. But take your finger and wipe it around the inside of the cap. And obviously there should only be fluid, there should only be radiator fluid in there, whatever color you use, orange radiator fluid. But on that other truck that I had, that we had to replace the oil cooler, we got the coolant system flushed out several times, but we were never able to get all of that oil out of there. And so it showed every time you would see it under the cap. All you had to do is just wipe your fingers under there. If you're dealing with a truck that has a clear tank, a clear reservoir, then you'll be able to see the fluid in there is a weird color. But if you got a black one like I do, you won't be able to see that. But I do have, you know, little peepholes right here that shows you what color the fluid is that's in there. So we decided not to get the truck after we looked around and saw all of that stuff, in addition to the stuff that we knew that had to be repaired, the EGR and all of that good stuff, the batteries. I'm like, so are you gonna finish? Is there anything else you gonna check out on this truck? He's like, nah, man, I don't need to check nothing else out. He's like, you can get it if you want to, but I would think you'd be spending too much money on it, and you're gonna have to, especially when you consider the possible amount of money that you're gonna have to put into it. You know, ain't no use in getting a $5,000 or $6,000 truck that I got to put another $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 into, and then I may still have problems that I didn't notice by the eye. I might as well just go in and spend $12,000, $13,000 on a truck that's road ready, because you can definitely find a truck that's road ready for $12,000 or $13,000. I just wanted to drop that on you guys. If you are the non-mechanical type and you are in a position where you're having to inspect a cheap truck, a truck around a $10,000 price range, give or take a few $1,000s, I hope this video right here was able to help you and able to give you a few things that you need to check, especially if you're the non-mechanical type, some things that you can just eyeball to see if the truck is up to code and worth your time, worth you calling a mechanic out to come out, you having to pay him to come out and take a look at this thing. Some of this stuff you can eyeball on your own, even if you are the non-mechanical type. This is Maurice Bay, the helpful trucker. On this channel, I help people get started in trucking. I help people start their trucking career. I help people get their CDL. I help people get home successfully, get home safely and profitably at night. I help new owner operators on this channel. If you want to know any information that falls into any of those categories, be sure to check out one of my other 100+ videos that I have on those subjects here on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any of my future helpful trucking videos. If you have subscribed to the channel already, be sure to stay close, because I got a lot of other really good helpful videos coming down the pike for you guys. Right now I'm on the journey of going from driving someone else's truck to driving my own truck. And if you're interested in following along with that journey, because I am uploading videos as I go, as I learn, I'm sharing it with you guys. So if you want to follow along with that, just look down below this video, click the subscribe button, and look out in your notifications, because YouTube gonna let you know when I upload another video. So make sure you check them out.